So when I first got into graduate school, I was really excited to get there. I was super proud of myself and I thought I was doing amazing things. I thought this was the end all and be all of actually getting into graduate school. I was very excited to do good science, to do good research, and to actually do the things that you need to do to become a scientist or a researcher. At the time, I thought maybe I'd go into industry and apply it in industry. But when I got into it, I had a really rude awakening. And I think almost all of you will have this rude awakening. And for those of you who are already on the other side and you're in maybe it's your graduate school, or maybe you're already a professor or a researcher, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And you will probably resonate very strongly with this rude awakening. You thought that this would be the end all and be all, and that this would give you some sort of prestige or some sort of status, or this was the moment where everything was going to come together. But it doesn't. And you realize that this is the beginning to more work, to never-ending amounts of demands on you. And this doesn't stop. So if you don't know me, I'm Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole Reciprocity Project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So I created the sharing economy editing platform where you can get feedback on your work. Please do go on there and buy some credits and support the project. It really does help out. It gives me moral support to continue on doing this. And I know that you're actually paying attention and watching these videos. If you do that, it would really, really mean a lot, super a lot to me. And we also have I've got some wonderful people that are writing for the Reciprocity Project as well, and adding all sorts of resources for you. So when you first get into graduate school, you're super excited about getting into it. You think that this is your ticket. This is the thing that's going to get you to where you want to go. And rightfully so. It was a lot of work. It was very daunting to get into graduate school, and you had to go through a lot of hurdles. It's actually really hard to get into graduate school. Most people don't get in because first of all, there's not that many people that want to go because it's so much work already. But at the same time, the ones that actually do apply to get into it, the programs don't actually take a lot. You're expecting like 5% of the people that apply ever get in. So it's really difficult to actually get in, and it is a real milestone to get in. So you should be super proud of yourself. And this is a really cool moment when you actually go. And I remember that very first day, it was very exciting. For me, in both of my graduate programs, I did a master's and then I did a PhD. And I remember being very excited about it in both of those, being very proud of myself. But then I realized when I got there that it's gonna be a lot of work. A lot of work. It's not really the beginning, it's not really a ticket as a beginning of climbing a mountain. So getting into graduate school, that moment of becoming where you are a researcher or an academic, is really just standing at the bottom of Mount Everest. And you're looking up and you could see that there's this massive mountain in front of you, and there is an endless amount of work to do. Except for this mountain, this Mount Everest, it doesn't stop. It doesn't disappear. It keeps going into the clouds, and it goes and it goes and it goes. And as you climb higher, the mountain gets bigger and stronger, and it continuously grows, and the mountain gets steeper as you climb. So this is exactly what graduate school, what becoming a researcher, the first moment that you actually get into the research career, you start to realize this, where the demands that get put on you get larger and larger, and it's never ending. So with a lot of programs, a lot of professional programs, so you become a doctor, an engineer. My undergrad was in engineering. You become a nurse. It's a lot different because when you go to school and you go into these professional programs, what ends up happening is you train for 4 years, you train for 7 years, and you do this coursework, and you do all these classes, and you learn all about the current science as it is right now. But for most of those people, that's all they're going to do, and then they're going to apply those lessons over and over and over and over again. Most jobs are actually like that in the real world, where you actually just apply the same thing over and over and over again, and you do that for your whole life. And then the way that training works typically is you have a little bit of training here and there, some continuing education, but for the most part, that base of knowledge does not change. And so the stuff that you learned, if you've been doing it for 30 years, you have this base of knowledge from 30 years ago. And a lot of professions are like that, except for when you become a researcher or an academic. You have to continuously be at the state of the art. You're constantly learning every day. That is your job. And so if you do a very good job at something at the current state of the art, what it is right now, and you're very proud of this thing, let's say you worked at this paper for 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and you're very proud of this thing, and it's all done, and you wrap it up, and you've done all of the research you ever thought you'd ever do, and you've done all the calculations, you've collected data, you've just done this miraculous job, and it's perfect. And then you hand it to somebody, and somebody says, it's not good enough. It's not the state of the art. And then you got to go back and you got to do it again. And you got to go through and look for other things, look for more state of the art. And then by the time you've actually finished this a few times, you look back, this article or this piece of research that you've been working on, it's already old. And it's already old news. And then you get it published. It gets out into the real world. You're super proud of this thing. And somebody says, that's it? That's it. And for all of us that are in the career that's been there, we've been on both sides. We've been on the part where you're actually writing this thing and you put in all this work and you've done so much and you're super excited about it and you're proud of this thing and you think it is the state of the art and it's amazing. And then it goes to a reviewer or an editor or a colleague and they say, it's not good enough. And that's crushing. That's extremely crushing. But when you're on the other side and you could see somebody else's work and you've read it for a couple hours, maybe you read it for a day and thought about it for a day and you said, meh, it's okay. And it just goes and sits there. It's entirely crazy how that is the case. So imagine yourself if you're on the other side and you are in graduate school. You read one article in graduate school. You read that one article. You fail to realize when you read that one article, and you read hundreds, maybe thousands of articles and papers and books and stuff like that when you're in graduate school. But you fail to realize that that one article, that one little tiny article, is probably about 3 to 10 to 15 years worth of work in that article. And we downplay it as insignificant as that's it. You have to realize that there is a tremendous amount of work that goes on in this career and you never get credit for it. And when you actually do it and you do your job well and you actually get it done, somebody's going to say, is there more? Can you do more? This is not good enough. Can we investigate this a little bit more? What else is around the corner? And this will happen to you. So you have to figure out how to deal with this tension where there's always more and there's always another thing that you can investigate. And this is probably one of the more difficult things that you're going to have to learn to deal with as an academic, is how to deal with that constant push towards more. And it does eat you up inside. So learning how to process this and think about this and spending some time for yourself, learning how to actually be okay with your limitations. It's huge, huge. It will be one of the things that will keep your sanity and make sure that you are a healthy individual when you're in academia. So I know that this is going to be a rude awakening for all of you, and for those of you who haven't started on your journey, you don't quite get it yet. You don't quite get that feeling of what it's like at this moment. And for those of you who are well on your journey, just need you to say that you are good enough. You're pretty awesome, and you're doing all the right things, and you should be okay with that, whatever that is for you. So keep going. This journey, it's a wild ride, but I know you can do it, and work on being okay with who you are, even when it's not good enough. Other people are going to tell you that it's not good enough. Happens all the time, but you are good enough. You, as a person, are complete, and you don't have to keep working on that all the time. You could just be proud of who you are. So keep working, disassociate yourself from the not good enough, and just be proud of what you've done. Give me one of those if you like this video. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Bye-bye.